I'm in a floating chair. Hello and welcome back. These are the books I read in January. So I read 7 books in January. 5 of them I have physically here, 2 of them I don't have physically here. January was a good reading one for me. I read a mix of genres. I started off with fantasy, then I got into romance, which I told myself I wouldn't get into, but nevertheless I went into romance. So let's have a chat about them. The first book I read this month was Finale by Stephanie Garber, and this is the last book in the Caraval trilogy. This was such a surprising read for me. I gave it 4 stars. Who would have known, because the first 2 books in the series I gave 3 stars. I think I gave the second one 2 stars. I did not like the first 2 books. I thought all the characters were really one-dimensional, especially the second book, the main character Tella. I thought she was playing the victim a lot. Finale, I enjoyed it a lot more. I felt like the characters actually gave me something. I didn't care for the romance besides the romance of the first character in the first book. But I really enjoyed it. The writing I felt like was really good. I do like Stephanie Garber's writing. I just don't enjoy her characters, which we will get onto the next book that I read from her too. I had the same issue. I think I enjoyed the third book a lot more is because the characters weren't just thinking about themselves and how the decisions that had to be made affected them. They were thinking how the decisions would affect everyone around them, how it would benefit everyone around them, and I enjoyed that a lot more. So we started off 2023 strong with a book that I was not expecting to give 4 stars and was not expecting to like. But here we are, I liked it. The first book from the pile. So the next book I read was A Conjuring Light by V. Schwab. And this book, chunky book, very chunky. It's like 650 pages. I absolutely love this book. It gave me, like the first half of the book gave me like Maze Runner vibes, and then the second half gave me slightly Pirates of the Caribbean. 5 stars. This is the last book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. This book surprised me because I didn't enjoy the second book as much as I thought I would. I liked the first book, didn't wholly enjoy the second book. I don't know why. I think it was just, I don't know, the stage of my life at that time, or maybe I just wasn't enjoying things. This one really turned it around for me. I really liked it. I really liked where the characters are going. This is a high fantasy book. We follow the main character Kel, but later on in the books we get different POVs from the other characters, and he's like known as the traveller. He can travel between different Londons, and there's different Londons in this universe. There's Red London, White London, Black London, and some other London. Kel is in Red London, which has so much magic. It's like flourishing with magic. Black London, no magic. It's bad time over there. All the different Londons have different ideas of magic, and some of them don't have magic, some of them do, some of them are dying. Like Black London, no one lives there anymore because it's all dead. I highly recommend this trilogy just so you can get to the last book. This one. Another great start to the year. The next book from the pile is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book was one of the most disappointing books I have read. I shouldn't have been surprised because seeing as I didn't love the characters in Caraval trilogy. Everyone was raving about this book. The cover is really stunning. I have to give it it. I gave this book 2 stars. The main issue for me was once again the characters. The main character, Evelyn Fox, I just couldn't. She was just one of the most infuriating, naive characters I've read about in a very long time. I'm so sorry to be hating on this book, but it just was not it for me. I didn't care for the romance. I didn't care for any character. Okay, I understand character development, which didn't happen for Evelyn slightly, but still can't let go. Oh, another thing I didn't like, it very loosely follows the retelling Cinderella. I don't think I've ever said this, but I do not like Cinderella. Maybe when I was like really young I liked it, but now I do not like it at all. I do not like any retellings got to do with Cinderella, and I could see the connections between Cinderella and this book. There were some sections that I liked, most of the sections I didn't like. So Evelyn Fox is in love with this guy. She makes a deal with Jax. That guy that she's in love with is actually marrying his sister, and she thinks he's cursed, so she wants to, break this curse. In exchange for Jax stopping the wedding for her sister and the guy she loves, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at a time and place of his choosing. I don't know if I want to read the second book. I do want to see if there is a bit of redemption. I just do not like the main character at all, so I don't know if I can read more because I don't like her. Hello, this is editing Sarah here. I just also had to put in that vampires. There was fucking vampires in this book. Why? That was one thing that also really pissed me off, because they were just throwing in random stuff. I felt like the plot just was terrible. There was There was no plot. Like, they talked about this one thing, you know, it was there at the beginning and then it was just gone for the middle. Then, oh, they mentioned it again at the end. The plot, the characters, nothing was good in this book. Nothing. The next book I read, 5 stars, Dear Aaron by Mariana Zapata. I cannot tell you how much I adored this book. I was squealing. I almost cried when the main character was almost crying. I just felt so many emotions of happiness while reading this book. This is such a wholesome, happy book, and possibly one of my favourite from Mariana Zapata. I think I read 5 from her right now, and this is definitely up top. So the concept for this book is really simple. So the main character, Ruby, goes onto this program where, you know, they email or give letters to soldiers who are overseas. And, you know, she picks this guy named Aaron. They start emailing and then going into texting. And I really like the layout of it too. And the one thing I loved is that the layout was so objective, because we never got to see like what, you know, Ruby was feeling about this guy or how Aaron was feeling about Ruby, and it was just literally just messages between them learning about each other. So we have email layouts and then we get into text layouts, and then probably just halfway of the book we get into like normal text of a book. But I absolutely devoured this book wholeheartedly, absolutely love it. I cannot recommend this enough. When the two of them met for the first time, I was squealing at every single turn, because so the main character got off the plane to meet him for the first time. I was literally on the floor dying. I kept on squealing, and then when she was going to cry because she was having like a panic attack, I almost started crying, because I also really related to Ruby. I really understand her humor. I feel like her humor is slightly my humor, because it's really like random and weird. I adore this book. I cannot rave about this book enough. It is so beautiful. Read it. The next book I read was Hook, Line, Sinker by Tessa Bailey. It's the book after It Happened One Summer. So this book follows the main character from the first book's sister. So it's Fox and Hannah, and it's a friends to lovers romance. I think I gave this book 3.5 stars out of 5. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. It wasn't like making me constantly want to read it. I really like the relationship between Fox and Hannah. But the one thing I have to say about this book is that the main character kept on saying that she was like the side character or like the supporting actress, which if you say something enough about yourself, you will become it. She kept on repeating it, and I was like, woman, stop. It was cute. The next book I read after that was an audiobook, and it was called Haunting Adeline. One of the most fudged up books I have read in a very long time, after probably Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. And we know how I feel about the book. Terribly. I feel so terribly about that book. So Haunting Adeline is a stalker romance. For the first 30-40% of the book, it was really scary. This book it's like a thriller / romance, and this is like a chunky romance book too. It's like 500 pages, and the second book, which I'm currently reading, 670 pages. Who knows why? As I said, the first like 40% of the first book, this book, Haunting Adeline, it was really gripping. Like, it was the beginning stages of him stalking her. He was like texting her, like leaving stuff in her house, and she was freaking her shit out, Adeline. She was freaking her shit out, and it was just so creepy knowing that he was in the house when she was in the house, and she never knew that he was in the house. It was just so creepy, and it's exactly what I wanted to listen to. And then for the last 50% of the book, obviously the two characters, they met, and he's in love with her, and he's basically like kind of like forcing her to be in love with him. You can see that she's kind of, you know, falling in love with him. But this book really, really tests your, you know, boundaries of consent, because there is none. You really have to put your morals away for this book. If you do that, you'll enjoy it. If you don't, you won't enjoy it. I think I gave this book 3.5 stars. I don't think it deserved a 3 stars, but I don't think it deserved a 4 stars either. So in the middle, 3.5. Next book I read then was The Roomies by Rosie Dannon. I gave this 3.5 stars again. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I wasn't really gripped. I was, for let's say 50 pages in the middle of the book, I was like, whoa, this is good, I want to keep on reading. But for the rest of the book, I didn't really care that much. So the main character, Clara, is in love with her best friend. Of course, it's unrequited love. She moves in with him thinking that this move will, you know, make him fall in love with her. And her best friend's like, yeah, peace out, I'm going on my rock band tour. So he proceeds to leave the house that she just moved into. And so a different guy moves into the best friend's room, obviously to pay the rent and stuff. And this guy, Josh, so it's now Clara and Josh living together. And yeah, it's cute. Josh, I have to say, is a funny guy. He's in the entertainment industry, and Clara finding out that was the funniest thing ever. You can see Clara coming to terms more with herself and, you know, breaking away from her family, which was nice to read. I liked it. But I wouldn't give this 5 stars at all. Yeah, that was every book I read in January. It was a good reading month, 7 books. I'm happy with it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace and goodbye.